There's something about the stillness right after you wake up, especially after 60. The house is quiet. The light feels muted. And even before your feet hit the floor, you can feel it. That emptiness, not sadness, not pain, just nothing. A quiet ache you don't want to name. You know the feeling. When your eyes open but your heart feels like it's still asleep. When the ceiling above you seems both familiar and strangely distant. These mornings don't announce themselves with drama. They arrive quietly, settling into your bones before you've even checked the time. You see, it's not always about what's missing. Sometimes it's just the weight of what used to be there, the laughter that once filled the kitchen, the rush of morning routines with children, the urgency of being needed, the purpose that propelled you forward for decades. You don't need a therapist or a guru in that moment. What you need is a pattern, something small, something yours, a way to remind your body it's still here. Start simple. Sit up slowly. No rush. Place your feet on the ground. Feel the coldness. That's your proof. You're still alive. Next, breathe in for 4 seconds and breathe out for 6. Again. Not because it fixes everything, but because it gives you a moment before the thoughts come flooding in. Listen to that breath. It's been with you through everything, through childbirth, through grief, through joy, through change. It's the one constant you've always carried. And then move. 10 shoulder rolls, light stretches, nothing fancy, just motion. You're not chasing energy, you're inviting it. Remember how your grandmother would stand at the window each morning, rolling her shoulders back? There was wisdom there we didn't recognize. Touch your face next. Your hands on your cheeks. Feel the warmth, the texture that tells the story of your years. This isn't vanity. It's communion with yourself. A moment of recognition. Now, water. Not a full glass, just a sip. Feel it. Travel down your throat. The simplest reminder that your body still responds, still receives, still wants to be nourished. Even on the hollow mornings. You see, women over 60 carry something most people don't talk about. A quiet kind of fatigue. The kind that comes from being needed for decades, then waking up one day and realizing no one's knocking on your door. The world whispers that this should feel like liberation. Finally, time for yourself. Finally, freedom from demands. But they don't tell you about the echo that freedom creates. The strange hollowness of Monday mornings when you're no longer rushing to meetings. The peculiar weight of holidays when the house isn't chaotic with preparation. You've given so much, so consistently that when things finally slow down, it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like drifting. But that drift can become direction, if you choose to anchor. That's why this 10-minute reset matters. It's not just a routine, it's rebellion against disappearing into your own day. It's claiming territory in the vast landscape of hours that stretch before you. Society has a way of making women past 60 feel invisible, as if your relevance faded with your youth, as if wisdom were somehow less valuable than beauty. But here's what I've learned from thousands of conversations with women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. The emptiness isn't a sign you've lost your purpose. It's the space where a new purpose is waiting to be discovered. The truth? Feeling empty doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're still here, still able to feel, and in a world that's moving faster than ever. That's power. You're not trying to be 25 again. You're trying to feel present in a life that keeps shifting, to find solid ground when the landscape of your relationships, your health, your identity keeps changing beneath your feet. After your breath and movement, try this. Write down one thing, just one, that made you proud yesterday. Not decades ago. Yesterday. It can be small, getting out of bed, calling someone, drinking more water, doesn't matter. Because tracking your wins reminds you that you still matter. I remember Marion, 73, who started writing down one small accomplishment each morning. I felt ridiculous at first, she told me, writing that I'd finally fixed that dripping faucet or tried a new recipe. But after 3 months, I read through those notes and realized I wasn't just existing. I was living, making choices, having effects on my world, however small. This is the heart of the reset. Not to transform your emptiness into artificial joy, but to recognize that emptiness and fullness can coexist, that you can acknowledge the hollow feeling while still creating pockets of meaning. Try this too. Place your hand over your heart. Feel its rhythm. Then say out loud, "This is where I am today." Not where you should be, not where others want you to be, but here in this body with its aches and its wisdom, its limitations, and its unexplored capacities. This acknowledgement isn't defeat. It's orientation. You can't navigate from a place you refuse to recognize. Now let's talk about carrying this reset into your day, because the emptiness doesn't always stay contained to those first waking moments. Sometimes it follows you. A shadow at your heels. When that happens, you need anchors, small rituals that pull you back to the present. Try the 5 senses check-in, a practice borrowed from mindfulness but simplified for real life. When emptiness creeps in during your day, pause and notice one thing you can see in detail. The pattern on your coffee mug, the veins of a leaf. One thing you can hear, birds, the refrigerator humming. One thing you can feel physically, the texture of your clothing, the air on your skin. One thing you can smell, coffee, soap on your hands. One taste in your mouth, even if it's just the taste of your own mouth. This isn't spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity. It's neurological redirection, literally changing the pathways your brain is traveling when it spirals into emptiness. Another practice, the doorway pause. Every time you walk through a doorway in your home, pause for one breath. It sounds simple, almost silly, but it creates dozens of small moments of presence throughout your day. Moments where you remember, I am here, I occupy space, I matter. And perhaps most importantly, connection. Not the casual scrolling through social media kind, but intentional reaching toward another human being. Send a text that says simply, thinking of you today. Call someone just to hear their voice. These small tendrils of connection remind you that while your role has changed, your capacity to touch lives hasn't diminished at all. There's something else we need to name about this emptiness after 60, something culture doesn't talk about enough. It's not just about changing roles or quieter houses. It's about confronting mortality in a new way, about recognizing there are fewer years ahead than behind. This isn't morbid. It's the reality that shapes this chapter of life. The emptiness sometimes comes from this awareness, from watching friends face illness, from noticing your own body's changes, from reading obituaries of people your age. But here's what's remarkable. This awareness, when fully embraced, doesn't have to darken your days. It can illuminate them. Research shows that people who acknowledge their mortality often experience greater appreciation for ordinary moments, greater selectivity about how they spend their time, greater authenticity in their relationships. Your morning emptiness might actually be a doorway to your most authentic life, if you're willing to walk through it rather than try to seal it shut. This 10-minute reset isn't about distracting yourself from these deeper questions. It's about creating enough stability, enough grounding, that you can face them with courage, that you can look at the limited nature of your time and say, then I will use what remains with intention. No, a 10-minute reset won't erase the emptiness, but it can give it shape. It reminds you that your story didn't end at 60. It just shifted chapters. And every chapter deserves a ritual, a rhythm, a way to say, I'm still here, and this moment is mine. Remember this. The women who navigate this territory most gracefully aren't the ones who never feel empty. They're the ones who've learned to sit with the emptiness long enough to discover what it has to teach them. About release, about recalibration, about the courage it takes to reimagine yourself when the roles that defined you have shifted. Your morning reset isn't just about feeling better for a day. It's about the slow, worthy work of becoming your next self, of translating a lifetime of experience into a presence that is wholly new, yet authentically you. Tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes and feel that familiar hollow sensation, try to greet it differently, not as an enemy to be vanquished, but as a space to be filled with deliberate choice, with breath, with movement, with small acts of self-recognition. Because at 60, 70, 80, and beyond, you're not just surviving each day. You're showing the world what it means to fully inhabit a life, empty moments and all. What's your reset? What's one thing you do to feel present even on the heavy mornings? Drop it in the comments, because trust me, someone else needs to hear it too. And if this resonated with you, share it with a friend who might need these words today. Because sometimes the most generous thing we can do is acknowledge the empty spaces we all feel but rarely name. Until next time, remember, the morning emptiness isn't your weakness. It might just be your most honest strength.